that you have the greatest love, and what if those kids got this? That the greatest love you could ever imagine in your whole life was inside of you. The greatest love ever and ever. You know, this love that, you know, I'm thinking about it, you know, because that's the love we're talking about that's within each and every one of us. It's this love that has the courage, you know, that gives us this courage to get through life when it's difficult, when there's all of the stuff we're going through, when there's, you know, challenges with divorce, with death, with jobs, whatever it is in your life. You know, what if we had the courage, you know, to get through it? Because that's what this love does. It gives us the courage to get through it. It supports us. Imagine carrying that with you. You know, like just a presence that surrounds you, and that's who you are. That it guides you. You know, what if we were able to really believe this deeply, that no matter what you have going on in your life and you had questions about what you do next, that it's there. That it guides you, it walks with you, because it's a living presence. And we have the opportunity to be able to step back for a moment and realize that it's there. Because so many times we ignore it. We get the choice to make it present in our life, to make it come alive in our life. And that's what we're called to do, you know. It can't support us if we don't turn to it, right? It can't. We need to be able to open up, ask, and feel, and know that it's there for us. And the truth is that this energy, what do you want to call it? It's God, it's spirit, it's love, it's the absolute. That energy has been with us from the very beginning. As children, you know, these innocent little kids, you know, they have it with them. We have it with us. It's just that along the way, you know, we've lost the realization that that's who we are. Our essence is always with us. That's who we really are, as essence. But as we've evolved or not, what we've done is we've identified with ego instead, with something different than we are. See, we've lost our connection with our wholeness. We're whole, we're beautiful, we're complete, and we've lost that. And our whole journey is about the search for this, right? The search for finding out who we really are. That's what we do. And we search and we find it. We try to find it in every different way possible. We try to look for it in food and drink and sex, in everything. We're looking for our wholeness of who we really are. And we look out there. We look out there. The searching to feel whole. And what I know is that my whole life, man, I've searched. I talk about this all the time, is that my life has been a search since I've been a little girl. What's this about? You know, I talk about the questions I've always had. Who am I? You know? And I looked out there. You know, I went to traditional, my whole background has been going to different churches to try to find that. It was always out there in somebody else that I searched to find out who I was. You know? And I was never encouraged to find it here. Never. But I knew something was not right out there, right? When I would tell my Sunday school teachers and stuff, you know, I was told to be quiet. But I knew, right? You know, I mean, that's true. They do. And that's what happened to me. It's like, no, you know, just sit still, be a nice little girl. Don't mouth off, you know. Well, what about the kids? I used to always think about the kids in, I don't know why, in my day it was Armenia, you know, and the starving Armenians. And, you know, why? You know, what about them? What if they don't get to see Jesus? Well, you know what, that's not your problem. And I didn't get that. I didn't get it forever. But I finally, I think after years of searching and knowing inside, found something that resonated with me. And I love what Buddha said. You know what Buddha said 2,500 years ago or so? He said, don't believe anything secondhand. Believe only what you yourself feel or experience what is true or has been helpful in your life. So that's been huge. That's been huge. And then he said, align your behavior with what you believe, because I saw a lot of people believe in a lot of stuff, and their behavior didn't look like that. You know what I mean? You know, my dad used to say, you know, he didn't want to sit next to somebody in church that he'd see doing something, you know, sitting in a bar later or something like that. I don't know what, something like that. And the truth is that we need to align our behavior with what's inside. That's what this is about. See, not everything makes sense for everybody. Nobody has to believe everything. And that's what I love about Common Ground, is that you can believe whatever you want to believe as long as it's life-affirming. As long as it resonates with you and makes you kinder, makes you more open, and makes you more loving. See? And this whole month we're talking about the perennial philosophy, this perennial wisdom. And I didn't know what it was called for so many years. I knew I believed what I believe, and I'm going to talk about that for a minute. But it's called the perennial wisdom. And it has, it's been handed down from traditions, and it's what we speak about here all the time. It's the reference that we speak about. And it's the major points of many religions. It's the common teachers in many of the cultures. You know, it comes from sacred texts, rabbis and priests and sages and ministers and scientists even now are saying the same things, and it comes up through the ages. That'd be a good one for you, James. I'd love to hear, you know, the perennial philosophy. You know, but it's even the mystical Judaism, mystical Christianity, Islam, the Sufis, they all talk about this. They all talk about the truths. And here's the truth that we just talked about. The greatest love of all. That's what this is about. The greatest love of all is in all of us. It's in every one of us. Right here. And here's what they talk about. It's a light in your soul. This is Meister Eckhart. That's why I was asking about him the other day. I was reading about him. And I like the way he says it. He says there's a light or an essence in your soul that is divine, unconditional, infinite, and deathless. And it can never be separated from God. And everything that we hear, everything that we see, that we touch, is a part of that source. There isn't anything that isn't a part of the source. You are part of the source. Everything is. And that is called a lot of different names, right? But it's one reality. It's called God. It's called Buddha. It's called, Judy said that David calls it Elvis, you know? It's called whatever you want to call it, because names don't matter. But it's an energy of love that runs through each and every one of us that we can call on anytime that we want, that we can make it present in our life and act and move and have our being in it. It's everywhere. If we realize it. See, we got a choice, you know. We can put our heads and be thinking about a million different things, or we can think about the God within us and carry that out to do your work. And it changes everything. See, our job is to experience God, not to just read about God, but to experience God in our life. And that's what the perennial philosophy says, that we're part of that one reality. And so this talk is about being an avatar, an incarnation of these qualities. You know, not all God. Now, we'll be called cults by different traditions out there because we say, you know, that we are a part of God. We're not saying we're all God, that God's just us. We're saying that we're all a part of this divine source, which gives us the power of love, which gives us the power of creativity, of kindness, of compassion. I love that. So how do you live, you know? How do you live as part of God? And that's what we're talking about all month. And the truth is that we live like those little kids. We live surrendered. We live free. We live knowing that we're connected with each other. We live compassionate. And we live knowing that it's all God. And that's a hard concept, that it's all God. Wow, that's a big one. When you're going through stuff in your life, do you want to think that's part of it too? But it is. It's the energy of life. It's the pain as well as the joy. Because that's what life is. Life is living deeply and experiencing all of it and knowing that you can go beyond the opposites and come to this beautiful point in the middle that is the energy and the love of God. And it's about, really, about not understanding with your head. It's about living with your heart, you know, and knowing that when you're going through difficult times, when you're falling apart, it seems like that there's something bigger than you that you can call on, you know, that you're part of the current of all of life. See, to me, that's huge, because it makes me know that I'm not isolated out there, you know, that there's a million people. There's a million people. There's an energy that I can call upon that's personal to me. I can make the impersonal personal, because the energy is impersonal until you realize it. So I invite you, boy, you know, take a breath and just realize God in your life, no matter what. And do that through the day. Do that when you get up in the morning. Do it through the day. When you go to bed at night, realize that God within. And when we do, we live with this faith. We live with this trust that life will be okay. And what we do is we ride the flow of life, right? We ride the flow of life. And what we do is, we have a choice, you guys. We've got a choice of going through our life, coming here on Sunday, maybe hearing a talk, and then going back and doing life, or taking that love that we know, that inspiration that you have inside of you, and living it. You know, taking the God with you when you leave here. And everything that you do, everywhere you go, every place you go, everybody you meet, bring it to them. Bring it to them in how you respond to life, how you act, how you greet them, your compassion. You know, that's what this is about. When it was actually yesterday, I always take my grandkids to the park, and there's this big, beautiful waterfall, and we always sit by the waterfall, right? And we just kind of throw leaves in, and they kind of go down the stream. And I'm thinking that's the way our life is, you know, that, you know, we're like the leaf, you know, to throw it into the stream and it kind of floats down. If we could just let go and let life, it feels so good to, you know, not resist life, to just breathe in and let it carry us. Now sometimes those little leaves get stuck on these rocks, you know, and they get banged around a lot, but eventually they flow down the stream. And that's what our life is like. It's like riding the stream and accepting life as it is. That's a hard one too. Not trying to control our life, but to know that there's something bigger within us that can guide us and take over, and we don't resist it. That's big. And what I know is that when we live that way, we become a mentor. I don't know if that's the word. We become compassionate for other people. And I'm thinking about my brother. I've got a brother who really has some challenges, and I've talked about him quite a bit, and he's got some physical and some mental challenges with his life, and he always calls me, and I always say I have to kind of pray up before I talk to him, because he can drive me nuts. He can, right? And so I have to really pray up and feel that God within me, because, you know, you don't feel it all the time. And so I pray up and I talk to him, and then, you know, the other day, I got to tell him this, because this is so funny, that I send him money because he needs money, and you know, I'm there. I talk to him all the time. He lives out of state, and anyway, I ended up send him a monthly money. I'm starting to get packages in the mail. You know what he's doing? He's sending me gifts now with that money. You know, the money was supposed to be to help him, you know, and here he is, you know, sending. And I was going to call him, well, what are you doing? You need to pay your bills, you know. But I got to thinking about his heart, you know. Isn't that the most beautiful thing? So I wear this all the time, because it's just like, he does that. Anyway, I just had to tell you that, because I just love him. But you know, what's so cool is he told me when I talked to him the other day, and I said, you know, Jim, you know, we need to, you know, go through your bills and all this kind of stuff. And he says to me, he goes, you know, when I get done off the phone, I feel so good. I don't feel as good all week until I talk to you. And I got to thinking that it doesn't happen unless I'm prayed up, right? Unless I have this huge presence in me. And then I realized it's not me, it's not Glenda that is making him feel, you know, I'm not talking about an ego thing here. I'm talking about that the God in you, right? And the God in me spoke to him. And that's what we do, is that we enter that stream that I talked about. We enter the stream of people that are in pain, and we serve and we help just by focusing on the God in us, and we know what to say and we know what to do. We change people. But we got to change ourselves first. We got to pray up. We got to feel that one source and that one power. And once we do, it changes everything. We can change other people just by being that. We don't even have to practice. We don't do anything. We just have to feel the God within us. By breathing in, by knowing that there's more, by not resisting life. And then we are the mentor for other people. That's not the word. There's another word I'm thinking. But you're an energy for somebody else, and you change them. And to me, that's huge. That's what we're called to do, and that's what avatars do. They're there for other people. They jump into the stream, you know, with compassion when a leaf is stuck, right? My kids get in and take a stick and they bang that that leaf, you know, and that's what we go through, man. You know, we get through the sticks and we go through so much, but we're called as compassionate beings and avatars to jump into the stream and help that leaf go down. So that's my call today, is to, you know, just accept and surrender your life to something bigger, not out there. You know, I used to be told I had to surrender to and get saved outside of me, and now I know it's not about that. You know, not at all. It's about, you know, this incredible power that we have inside of us to change us first, and then to change other people. That's how we're avatars. That's how we're avatars. We are compassionate and loving beings. So my prayer for all of us today is that we enter that stream of life and we embody the greatest love of all. Thank you.